Please don't let me fall into the water.
Sailing on the Outer Alster Lake in Hamburg.
Hamburg is the gateway to the world, and this is the port, the beautiful harbour, the beautiful Alster Lake. If you want to sail here, you can. You have to have something to do with water if you live in Hamburg. At least you should. I love Hamburg. Hamburg's my pearl. The most beautiful city in Europe, really.
Eliane Fernandes Ferreira is originally from Brazil. She came to Hamburg to study and then settled down here. As a hobby, she plays Brazilian music on Tide 96.0, a local community radio station.
Now we will hear a beautiful song to do with my home, Minas Gerais. Oh, I'm so homesick.
The spa town of Poços de Caldas, known in Brazil for its sulfurous mineral springs, is where Eliane was born. Once a year, she spends several weeks here visiting family and friends. Poços de Caldas is a tranquil place. Elaine's mother lives in the center. Churrasco, freshly grilled meat in all variations, is the traditional dish at social gatherings. Eliane's whole family and all her old friends have come to see her.
Family means a lot to me. It's a very high priority. That's why every year I have to fly back to Brazil if I can, so I can visit my mother, so I can visit my brothers. This is very important for me. Otherwise, I couldn't live in Germany.
She has always been different, ever since she was a child. The first gift she asked for was a wetsuit. She's very active. She always wants to be first. She found her world a bit too small for her because she had big dreams.
Brazil might be large, but Germany had more to offer. It gave Eliane the chance to do something which still costs an arm and a leg in her home country, to study with the prospect of getting a job afterwards. The Pius XII Parish School.
Now I'm going to surprise my mother at work. Let's go inside.
These are young people from the 1st to 5th classes, the 5th year and adults.
This Catholic institution focuses on adults. In spite of compulsory schooling, illiteracy in Brazil still runs at an average of 10%, although here in the south it's probably lower. Eliane's mother is taught here for the last 40 years.
My mother is a fighter, really a very strong woman, and she has a saying, those who dare can achieve anything.
Like Donna Severa, who comes here to learn how to read and write at the age of 82.
I wanted to apply for a savings account, and the girl told me that my daughter would have to sign for me because I couldn't write my own name. So I decided to learn how. But my children, thank God, all went to school, and now I am learning. It's never too late. You should never say, no, I'm too old, or I can't do this or that. Life goes on.
The students affectionately call Eliane's mother Donna Anna. Her greatest wish is that everyone should have a chance in life and use it.
My mother knows how important this is, especially for a woman, because we live in different times, and women have to be strong and realize their dreams.
Eliane has a date with Yula Merora. Her friend is a pharmacologist and works at the health department in Poços. And she's currently working on a very interesting problem.
This business of natural radioactivity, they say it's very high, amongst the highest in the world. Is that true?
Yes, especially at the Morro do Ferro, the Iron Mountain near Caldas, which is considered one of the world's most radioactive areas. For my thesis, I'm looking at whether this can cause cancer. As a pharmacologist, of course, I've got the medical knowledge, and I want to know, does the radiation cause cancer or does it make cells resistant? That's what we're looking into. And we also want to disprove the urban legend that Poços de Caldas causes cancer.
Even as a child, I heard a lot of stories about ore, bauxite and uranium. At that time, when there was still mining in the Uranio do Brasil, I visited it with my school class.
Eliane's scientific curiosity is aroused. She's never been to the Morro de Ferro. She wants to go there with Yula. The next day, Yula and her colleague Marco Antonio spontaneously decide to take her. The natural radiation here is amongst the highest in the world. You can't see it, smell it, or taste it. And because Yula has forgotten the Geiger counter, you can't hear it either. The only sign is the poisonous-looking ochre and the brown on the rock, which indicates the presence of iron oxide.
Here on the Morro do Ferro, the radioactivity is of a very particular sort. It's one of the few places in the world that has thorium and rare earths. Therefore, there's still a lot to look into and understand. It's dangerous to stay here. There can't be any plantations, livestock or houses. And if you are constantly exposed to this natural radioactivity, not briefly like we are, but if you stay here for a long time, then you will get cancer.
The risk of cancer in such an idyllic place? It's still a contentious issue. But one thing is certain, it all depends on the dose. Several kilometers further on is the former uranium mining area that Eliane visited with her class. Here they mined uranium and extracted yellowcake, highly concentrated yellow uranium powder, on a large scale for over 20 years.
We're too late. We wanted to come earlier.
Come here.
Can we come in?
No, you have to make an appointment. Health control, Paulinho Golominas.
That's right.
I was sleeping. Now you've woken me up. You're laughing, aren't you? Otherwise, everything okay?
Great.
Eula hopes she might be able to get someone in charge on the phone. She wants to use her connections.
I'm not sure whether Mauricio will allow it, you know, a tour of the lakes, because that's where the ore used to be.
You need to talk to Mauricio. Just say, Mauricio, be nice. I need something from you, my friend.
But it's too late. It's already 6 o'clock. The pair declined the security man's kind offer of a glass of water. The mine was shut down for good in 1998. It was no longer economically viable. But Brazil has plenty of other mines.
That was where the office was, and the production was there, and behind it the lake with the contaminated water. They also used to work at night. You can still see the remnants, but everything here is subject to national security. That's why the guy stopped us. We can't go where there's uranium, national security.
You know, if you look on Google Earth, the image is blurred. You just can't see anything.
So it looks quite harmless.
Man. I think we took a wrong turn. I don't know. We'll have to see for now. But I think we can ask up there.
The northwest of Brazil, the Amazon basin. The risk of taking a wrong turn in this region is big. There are hardly any signs, and GPS only works sporadically out here.
Perfeito, obrigada, senhor. Bom dia ainda, né?
It's good that we soon realized we were on the wrong road. This is exciting.
It's also exciting because Eliane finally sees a chance to find her great-grandfather's former rubber farm in Acre. He was one of the first rubber barons here in what was then jungle. But there's precious little jungle left today.
We're pretty shocked at the situation here. We see very little forest, and we've even seen sugarcane fields in an area where they shouldn't be. Then it's called bioethanol, highly praised in Europe.
This loading station for trees bears the label Sustainable Forest Management, but there's no way of checking whether this is true. Moreover, it's debatable whether felling only diseased and damaged trees doesn't destroy the fragile balance of the ecosystem anyway. The fact is, once the thin humus layer is gone, nothing else can grow.
It can take 6 hours to cover 300 kilometers in Brazil. These are Brazilian conditions, not European ones. This is the jungle, which determines when and how you get to a certain area. You can't be in a hurry here.
Roads bring prosperity, they say. Well, then people in the remote villages will soon have reason to rejoice. In the near future, the Transoceanica will connect the Brazilian Atlantic coast with the Pacific coast in Peru. An open road from Sao Paulo to Arequipa, 4,600 kilometers for economic development. But environmentalists are critical.
This is the season for forest fires here in this region. I think maybe we should shoot here, because you can see this cloud of smoke really well. Why do they say that Brazil needs economic development without realizing somehow that what we already have, the jungle, is our greatest wealth?
Slash and burn cultivation is a vicious circle for small farmers here. They clear a patch of forest, but the soil is poor in minerals, so it's quickly exhausted and the yields fall just as fast, which means they have to clear more. At the end of the first leg, Assis Brasil, a town on the border of Peru and Bolivia. Eliane's first stop is at the offices of the Institute for the Protection of Biodiversity in Brazil. They should know how to find her great-grandfather's old rubber farm.
My cousin Evandro works for the Environment Agency in Rio Branco and has sent me to you. We want to visit the Esfala rubber farm.
The people at the Chico Mendes Nature Reserve deal with the rubber area.
The area in question is named after the rubber tapper and union leader Chico Mendes, who was assassinated in 1988. It covers nearly 1 million hectares.
I got this map from people here at the Chico Mendes Institute in Assis Brasil. They told me how to get to the River Yaco. I'll go there tomorrow. I think it'll be exciting, because the journey is only now really getting started.
The roads are unpaved from here on in, and there's not likely to be much oncoming traffic.
I want to stop because it's so beautiful here. I want to take a look at it. I feel that I'm close to the land where my grandfather came into the world, and my great-grandmother, who always said that they used to like taking a bath in small rivers like these. That's nice. It's such a nice feeling. I love this country.
The roots of the Fernandes family in Brazil go back to the 17th century.
The family on my mother's side came from Portugal. They were Jews who had converted to Christianity. My great-grandfather, Gilderico Fernandes, came to Acre from the northeast in 1870. That was the first era of rubber production in Brazil.
The colonization of the Amazon basin is recent, and the history of the Fernandes family closely linked with it. Eliane sees her roots here, and not in Portugal. After all, her great-grandfather was a Brazilian. The expedition to the farm of the rubber baron Gilderico Fernandes comes to a halt at the Yaco River. It will take at least another 5 days by boat to get there. But Eliane is not disappointed. She's never gotten this close before.
I know that I will come here again. I will make it. At some point I'll do it, and then I'll go downriver and see it. But I'm happy. I know now that this is the area my grandfather came from.
The father of her beloved grandfather was one of the first who set out to make his fortune. His is the story of the rise and fall of the rubber barons, of the exploitation and enslavement of the indigenous population by its white colonial rulers. Even so,
I am very proud of my great-grandfather, who managed to come up the river without any modern technology to start a new life. That's part of the history of the Amazon region and part of my story. I think it's fine. Of course, it also has other sides. A great many people died with the coming of the white man. Not a nice part of the story. I think that's why I became an ethnologist, so that I can make amends and also support indigenous projects.
For years, Eliane has regularly been going on field research expeditions as a cultural anthropologist at the University of Bremen. She loves the challenge of traveling in remote areas. Her field research this time is taking her to Marechal Taumaturgo. It can only be reached by air taxi.
It's so beautiful when you're flying in a small plane over the jungle. It's like a sea of trees, you know, a green carpet.
We start the approach to the remote town. The town was founded on the river Ammonia in the late 19th century as a result of the rubber boom. Marechal is a melting pot of indigenous peoples and immigrants from Peru, Bolivia, and southern Brazil, the descendants of rubber tappers and adventurers. What Eliane doesn't know is that a visitor is waiting for her at the hotel reception.
Hello, Jessie. How are you? Is everything okay?
Everything's fine.
What a surprise. I didn't think we'd meet this time. I missed you a lot. The most important thing is that you're happy, isn't it? Jacinta is a very intelligent woman. I would love her to have exactly the same opportunities as I had when I was young, to use this thirst for knowledge and to really achieve something. Sometimes I think it's a pity she's from this town because she can't really develop here.
Jacinta is expecting her third child and depends on her extended family for support. Nevertheless, she's optimistic about the future, and for now, she's happy her friend is here.
Eliane has a strong relationship with these people in this forest. That is very important for me. I know how much she loves this region, and her family, her ancestors, have lived here. That's why there's this connection. My ancestors are from here too, so our relationship is very close. Who knows, maybe our grandparents or great-grandparents also met at some point.
We're on our way to see Dona Glorinha.
Dona Glorinha.
Hey,
Dona Glorinha.
how are you?
Everything's fine. I'll take off my shoes here. It's nice to see you again. I'm back. Can you go to Apucha with us again and cook for us? Oh, great. Dona Glorinha is my second mother in Acre. I have met a great many people that I've really grown fond of. Sometimes I call them from Germany and ask how they're doing, and they're pleased. It's nice to work in a place where you have friends. It's practically my third family here.
On the opposite side of the river lies the Hamburg Atomy Center for Environmental Training. Its name means knowledge of the jungle. It was built by the Ashaninka, with whom Eliane does her field work. They want to show it's possible to protect the environment while still being economically viable. Respect for nature instead of logging and yields. But there's little funding, and everyone working here now does so voluntarily. There's no more money to pay them. But anyone, even the non-indigenous population, could benefit from this know-how. The sustainable use of natural resources such as bees and turtles. Eliane collects donations to keep the center running.
I hope that this center will survive and that we can manage to expand this model. Considering how this area is being developed, the future is obviously very difficult, especially now, because they'll be drilling for oil and gas here, and that will of course threaten the existence of natural resources. We see no way of stopping it. It's too late. But we can try to keep the damage to a minimum. That is our new challenge.
Traditional knowledge and Western technology, a symbiosis. The internet will be used to organize the indigenous groups against deforestation and pollution more effectively. Solidarity between indigenous tribes and environmentalists has grown, and they're now joining forces, even across national frontiers. It's 7 a.m., and the boat trip to the Ashaninka village will take at least 3 hours. Eliane wants to avoid the midday heat. A whole troop of young men is waiting to help her load the luggage.
Have we got everything, Chico? It's all there? Can we board? We can get on the boat.
The journey is not without risk. The river is quite shallow, and hidden tree stumps can make the boat capsize. And sometimes there are also conflicts of interest.
Throughout the Amazon region, it's sometimes very dangerous because there are rivalries between groups. There are drug dealers. Once a group tried to swamp our boat, although that was only to warn us not to come too close to them. You always have to be accompanied by one of the leaders or someone in the village who knows the leader's family. That's the only way to come here. You can't just head off, you need an escort.
Eliane quickly greets the village elder, Antonio Bianco, and his family, and then gets straight to work. One of the things she brought in the boat was sacks of rice.
Bom dia.
The job of an anthropologist is to watch and describe how other cultures live. You have to go into the field to collect this data. That's what makes it so interesting. I have to pay very close attention to how they live here, what they use, how they use natural resources, and I must say, this is the first time that I have seen what they do with the rice.
The results will form part of Eliane's postdoctoral thesis. Its topic is how the Ashaninka perceive the environment. The ethnologist wants to arrange an interview with Pepito Bianco. He's a teacher and has also made documentaries about the everyday life of the Ashaninka. The first thing that strikes outsiders is the Ashaninka's red-painted faces.
There are different types of makeup, for celebrations, for hunting, or for everyday wear. When they go to work, they paint their faces with anato, this red color, to protect themselves from the sun.
The makeup isn't just cosmetic. It should protect our skin. And it shields us from evil. If you're painted in a particular color, that drives evil away. You have to feel at ease with it in every possible way, culturally, spiritually, and as a whole person. You should feel at one with everything and be in a good mood.
Bebito is basically receptive to Eliane's questions, but he also finds them rather alien.
I realize that it's not part of my culture. I'm even a little afraid that I can't answer the questions, or that my answers don't correspond to what the person wants to know. But there's also a sense of becoming acquainted. For me, it's about understanding what the person wants to know, and also what information I can provide.
I once asked a chief how important the stars were, but he misunderstood me and thought I wanted to find out about the religious aspect. That's a step too far for them, and I have to respect these limits. In a research group relationship like this, it's very important.
The first impression the village gives is one of harmony.
I remember when I first came here, I really felt I was in paradise. It was an indescribable feeling. I felt so happy that I was ashamed to be happy so far away from my family. I thought, my God, Eliane, what's going on?
Eliane has brought gifts. One is an almost colonial gesture, glass beads for the natives.
I heard that a German started this custom. I think it was Karl von den Steinen. He brought these beads here to Brazil, and the Indians like them. So many tribes have been using them to make jewelry ever since that time. Yes, really.
The jewelry has now become a source of income for the Ashaninka. They sell it in the city. Eliane will spend the next few months pushing ahead with her research. The only privacy she has is her own tent. On this night, 3 hours boat ride away, Jacinta's baby is born. So Eliane goes back downriver for a day. She wants to see her friend and the newborn baby.
Oh, how sweet! A little girl. Have you chosen a name yet?
We're looking for one. We don't have one yet.
Oh, how pretty. Do you have some hiccups, baby? Oh, how cute. You poor thing.
Sometimes I was just dozing on the bed. My daughter was standing beside me. As soon as I dropped off, the baby began to cry and woke me up. I opened my eyes, looked at it, and thought, oh yes, there is someone there, and went back to sleep. My daughter took care of the baby.
She assumed that it would be a boy, but then a girl arrived. But that's nice. That's a nice surprise. I'm so pleased.
Now we know. They've called the baby Felicia, the happy one. Back in Apucha.
I'm torn between these three worlds. It's not easy. I have several homes. Is that even possible? I don't know. But the places where I feel at home, yes, I've got 3 places where I feel at home: Minas, Acre, and Germany as well. I'm a kind of ethnological gypsy.
Estrela que brilha no céu, ilumina minha vida e o meu coração. Estrela que brilha no céu, ilumina minha vida e o meu coração. Tu és a minha rainha, tu és a dona do universo. Seu brilho é tão intenso que brilha entre as flores do meu jardim. Sua luz